Baruch.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We are so glad you are with us tonight. We will begin as God began when God created the world. God began with creation of light, and so we will light. And so first I need to turn off my light. If my match wants to go. There we go. That's a nice light. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen borei peri hagafen. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei v'samim borei minei v'samim. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei meorei ha'esh borei meorei ha'esh. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, lie, lie. Lie, lie, lie. Okay. Now we shall bless one more thing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamav Hamavdil ben kodesh lecho. Hamavdil ben kodesh lecho. Hamavdil ben kodesh lecho. Chatutenu hu yimcho. Chasbenu v'chasbenu v'keho keho v'hakochavim balayla. Shavua tov, 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 Shavua tov. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi. We don't have the dramatic Rabbi Bergson flair, but I do have an extra song to make it more mine. This is a song that Nifty used to sing all the time for Havdalah. The twisted candle brightens our heart as together we watch the Sabbath depart. We smell the spices and taste the wine as the stars in the sky begin to shine. Shavua Tov, may you have a good week. May you find the happiness you seek. Shavua Tov, may your week be fine. May it be as sweet as the Sabbath wine. We say goodbye to a special friend. Another Shabbat has come to an end. Shavua Tov are the words we speak to say, may you have a happy week. Shavua Tov, may you have a good week. May you find the happiness you seek. Shavua Tov, may your week be fine. May it be as sweet as the Sabbath wine. Shavua Tov, everyone. Okay.
Shavua.
Sorry for some of those pauses. I have my big candle is beautiful and it drips wax all over my hands. So it was kind of hot at times, so I apologize. Okay.
You need to wear asbestos gloves.
I should. I have gloves anyway because of COVID. So, so I apologize. And now it's all over my fun nail polish. Oh, well.
No. How
Oh,
terrible.
no, it's right. Nikki, look at them. I think you would love these.
Oh, I do.
No.
Even with the wax.
Yes, thank you. Okay. So I thought of you actually when I did this one. These were done at home. Okay, so now our story. As we enter the new week, we enter a new Torah portion, and this story ties in with Numbers chapter 30, verse 3, that says, if a man makes a vow to God, I guess, or a woman makes a vow to God, but it doesn't say that, or takes an oath, imposing an obligation on himself, herself, theirself, then that person shall not break their pledge. So here's a story called A Place Called Kushta. And as many, many good stories begin, once upon a time, a long time ago, there was a town called Kushta. The people who lived there never broke their word, nor did they ever seem to grow old. Now, many of the inhabitants knew why they never seemed to grow old, But since they were happy and always kept their word, they had never bothered their heads much about it. One day, a king's messenger happened to lose his way and wandered into this little town. He didn't stay long, but he stayed long enough. When he returned to his own country, letting in someone. When he returned to his own country, he brought to the king a most unusual tale. In that place, no one ever grows old, he said to the king. The king's eyes gleamed. Immediately, he summoned his wisest counselor. In Kushta, no one ever grows old, said the king. Find out why. Now, his counselor knew a great many things. For instance, he knew why apples fell down and why birds fly high. He knew why the earth turned and why the stars blinked, though he didn't know what would keep the king from growing old. But I don't mind finding out, he said, and he traveled to the town of Kushta. He walked up and down the streets of Kushta and looked carefully around. All about him, he saw ripe, golden apricots hanging from the trees. Everywhere he looked, he saw people eating them. The women loaded their aprons with them. The children stuffed their mouths with them, and the men filled their pockets. Aha, he thought, this must be the reason that no one in Kushta ever grows old. So he picked a basket full of the ripe fruit, strapping it carefully to his saddle. He galloped his horse swiftly back to the king. I don't have any coconuts today, sorry. But instead of keeping his promise, the king was very pleased when his wise counselor returned with 8 beautiful apricots. I will reward you, he said. But instead of keeping his promise, he ordered his guards to lock up the counselor. The king certainly didn't intend to let anyone else learn the secret of never growing old. In his private chamber, the king sat down and began to devour the apricots greedily. He ate and he ate. And when he had eaten all there were in the basket, he went eagerly to the mirror. But instead of making him look younger, the apricots seemed only to have made him look older, and suddenly much greener too, with an upset tummy, in fact. In a rage, he smashed the mirror and ordered the faithful counselor put to death. Well, it wasn't long before the king sent another counselor to Kushta to find out what it was that kept the people from growing old. Now, the second counselor was even wiser than the first. For instance, he knew why some numbers are round and why some numbers are square. He knew why clouds made rain and why ice melted, though he didn't know what would keep the king from growing old. But I don't mind trying to find out, he said, and he traveled to the town of Kushta. When he reached Kushta, he set about to find the answer to the king's question. He walked up and down the streets of the town and looked carefully around. All around him, he saw great barrels catching the rain. Everywhere he looked, he saw people drinking the fresh water from the clouds. The women washed their hair in it, the children bathed in it, and the men splashed it on their faces. Aha, he thought. This must be the reason that no one in Kushta ever grows old. Quickly, he filled a barrel with the rainwater and took it back to the king. The king was very pleased when the rainwater was brought to him. He ordered it poured into a large tiled tub and promised to reward his counselor immediately. But before taking his rainwater bath, he secretly ordered his guards to lock up the second counselor. Of course, the king intended to keep the secret for himself. He stepped into the tub, but alas, when he arose again, he was no younger and only a little bit cleaner. Shaking with anger, as well as with cold, the king ordered the second counselor put to death. I myself will go to the place where no one ever grows old, he decided, and he ordered his carriage. He traveled with great speed, and he carried with him a sack of gold. Well, reaching the town of Kushta, he drove straight to the city square. Curious, all the people gathered round. Like that, square, round. The king stepped out of the carriage. He peered carefully about him. Sure enough, no matter where he turned, no person looked old. Holding his bag of gold high in the air, he shouted, "A handsome reward for anyone who will tell me what I want to know." "What do you want to know?" a young man asked. Well, he might have been an old man for all the king could tell. The king smiled. "Tell me," he said softly, "why the people of Kushta never grow old?" The people looked at each other with wide eyes. Not many of them really knew. But the king thought they did not trust him. He raised his right hand and said, "I am a king. You can take my word for it. I swear to you, I will reward you handsomely if you tell me your secret." "It's no secret," one said. "This is a town of trust. This is why it is called Kushta. In our language, Kushta means truth. As long as we live, we always tell the truth." He scratched his head. "I guess that's why we live so long," he said, as though he had not thought about it before. Everyone nodded. One of them eagerly raised his hands for the bag of gold. But the secret didn't sound like anything of much value to the king. He pushed the fellow back roughly. The townsman looked surprised. "The gold," he said. "You promised to give us a bag of gold." But the king was no fool. Why should he give them his gold for nothing? He took his bag of gold and jumped into the carriage. Wildly, he whipped his horses home. But strangely enough, when the carriage reached the palace gates, the king who had broken his word in the place called Kushta was dead. Something even stranger began to happen in Kushta. The people who had never grown old before suddenly began to grow older. When the king broke his promise in the town of truth, the spell, if a spell it was broken too. People didn't trust each other so completely anymore. And today, if a traveler should happen to stop at the town called Kushta, he would find it hardly different from any other place. So may we all live long lives by focusing on telling the truth, even if it is hard to tell. Shavua Tov, everyone. Feel free to unmute.
I'm unmuting. There we go.
Shavua Tov, everyone.
Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.
If there are families out there of our religious school students, tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. is our next Dream Big event for parents. At 11 a.m. for our youth will be a Dream Big session for them to share their hopes and dreams for this coming year in terms of our educational programs. And on Tuesday night, for those of you who are 18 or over, whether you have children or grandchildren or no children or great-grandchildren, we will be having a session at 7 p.m. on Tuesday night for all of you to dream big about adult learning at CEEBJ for this upcoming year and into the future. Next Sunday, a week from tomorrow, at 11 a.m., we are having Nicole Bakes Eclairs, the first in a series of baking sessions with Nicole Masters, who is in our choir and is also studying right now to become a professional pastry chef. And we're very excited about that. And we're finalizing right now. Should be final by tomorrow, hopefully, what it will be in August, which will take place on, I believe, August 23rd. On, I believe, Wednesday or Thursday night of the following week will be Rosh Chodesh. And I can look it up. Rosh Chodesh shall be, I'm confusing the month of July and August since I'm working on the bulletin for Hakol for August right now. I believe it is, where did it go? There it is. I was completely wrong. It is on Tuesday night, July 21st at 7 p.m. So we hope you will join us then. And anything else, Andrew?
Nothing for me.
Okay. For those of you wondering where our rabbi and our cantor are, our cantor's on vacation. We hope he's having a wonderful time. I believe his grandchildren are coming in currently. So very exciting that he gets to be with his grandchildren. And Rabbi, unfortunately, is at a Shiva minyan tonight for a friend of his in Chicago. So we think about that, and we wish all the mourners there, may they be comforted with those who are mourning. And anything anyone else wants to share?
Isn't there a Shiva Tuesday evening?
There is a Shiva Monday. We do not know the time yet, which is why I'm not announcing it. We will hopefully know tomorrow.
4:35?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we are waiting. It is sometime on Monday, and I do not have the information yet because Rabbi does not have the information yet, and it will be decided tomorrow. So we will be getting something out after that.
Okay.
And at this time, since it's about this coming week, we wish Andrew a lovely vacation this coming week too.
That's what I was about to say. Andrew, enjoy
Yes.
your.
Thank you. guys.
Enjoy your
A very-
vacation.
Oh,
A very earned vacation.
am I having
Yes.
vacation? I forgot all about it.
Where are you guys going?
I'm actually just home for the first few days, and then we're going to an Airbnb in Oshkosh.
Oh, very nice.
Nice.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
And when
And
do
what
you
do you-
take Julia to Boston?
You know what? I'm going. Well, 1 second. Let me tell you. Why don't we say goodnight, everyone, to people on
Good
the
night to
screen.
Facebook land and to
we'll see you soon.
cbj.org website, and to
Yeah.
YouTube.